Hey, manufacturing world, welcome to another episode of Shop Matters, coming to you live from the Okuma booth at IMTS 2022. I'm your host, Wade Anderson, and joining me here today, I got the pleasure of sitting with the CEO and president of Mastercam, Meghan West. Thank you, Meghan, for joining me today.
Hi, Wade. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. So obviously, we are tied at the hip very closely with Mastercam. We've worked with Mastercam for a long, long time now. We have deep partner relationships with Mastercam. I work closely with a gentleman, obviously, on your team named Chris Kozel. He has an office in my facility, and we do a lot with him. You guys have a lot of demos here on our machines in the booth, so really appreciate the partnership that we have together.
Absolutely. And, I think it's partnerships like these. It's so great because it makes our technology look even better. When we can show what your machines can do and your machines can show what our software can do, it's mutually beneficial.
Right. That's the definition of a win-win, right?
Absolutely.
So, Meghan, tell us a little bit about yourself and the history. You've got a very unique and fascinating story.
I do, yeah. So I've been involved in the company full-time for the last 13 years. So I've been with the company since 2009. Took over as president and CEO back in 2015. So been having the privilege of running it for the last 7 years. But I've been part of it since I was born. My dad started the company, and it's been kind of part of my family history. I've been interested and just intrigued by business and manufacturing for as long as I can remember.
So how have you seen Mastercam evolve as a company over the last 15 years or so?
It's always been real slow and steady. I think my dad has always had a very conservative approach, but it was always tech first. My dad is a machinist at heart, and so it was always about making sure that he was able to solve a problem. And so, it just sort of grew really organically and very naturally from the very beginning. I think he made a couple of really good calls early on. One of them was to have a distribution network. And, he had some really key people that helped to develop that network. And so we've got a global channel of people that, I'm lucky enough to call family and lucky enough to call friends that are out there representing Mastercam all the time.
Right. Oh, that's great. So the distributor network and really your go-to-market strategy through distributors, that matches Okuma and how we go to market. We do everything through a distribution network, and we find that extremely important for us from a relationship standpoint. We're still in a manufacturing world where people do business with people, and that closeness and being able to develop and maintain that relationship is vital.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. You've got this dichotomy. We're in hard metal. It's about as hard as you get. Yeah. But it really is about the softness of the relationships. It's so funny walking down the hallway here at IMTS, and it's been 4 years since we've gotten a chance to get back together. And you walk down, and it's like a family reunion, getting a chance to see everybody and getting the smiles on everyone's faces and reconnecting. But yeah, it's amazing to me how much this industry was built on relationships. And you're right, the distribution network, the fact that we have people in these local areas. There's so many different nuances to different territories, different geographies, and the resellers understand those nuances right. And are able to build the relationships, because we don't sell a product, we sell a relationship.
Absolutely.
We need to be there for our customers 24/7.
Yep. I think that's something that's vital for us from an Okuma perspective. When we have an issue, when we have a customer in the field and he has questions, he has concerns on something, when that call comes into us, I've got Chris right there in the office. I know who I can walk over and say, hey, Chris, we need some help, and having that relationship, that's so important to us. So,
yeah, it's reliability. Time
right.
is money. If the customer is down for a certain period of time, that's money that's, flying out the window. So we want to make sure that we are reliable and we're there, as soon as we can.
Right. So for IMTS 2022, what's the new sizzle for Mastercam? What new products have you brought to the show this year?
Well, we've just recently released Mastercam 2023, and so we're really proud to have that release out there. Obviously, a big focus on multi-axis, on mill turn. That's the future.
Right.
Mill turn, multi-axis, those are the areas that machines are really heading. And so we're putting a lot of energy into improving our functionality there. But I think the biggest thing that we've brought to this show is our partnerships. We are in 22 different booths, 44 different demo parts, and I think it shows the strength of our network, and it shows the strength of people like Chris Gazelle. We've got Dave Miller. We've got some of our applications engineers that they work so closely with all of our partners to make sure that we are highlighting the best of their work as so that they can highlight the best of ours.
Oh, that's great. So, anybody visiting IMTS, what's 3 pieces of advice that you would want to give people to make sure that they get the most out of their experience here?
Oh, that's a great question. Make sure that you have enough time.
Yeah.
It's big. There are so many things to see. So I think number 1 is take your time. Soak it up, soak it in. Maybe have a plan. Have a couple of big ticket items that you really want to get a chance to walk around and see. And number 3 is stop by the Mastercam booth. I think that.
Yeah. So where is the Mastercam booth? Where are you guys located?
We are in the East Hall. It's impossible to miss us. Our sign is large and looming over the area. And it's funny. That's been our home for so long.
Right.
We have been in that hall for so long. It feels like coming home when we get back to IMTS.
And I think that's a key advantage. I think it's very important from a marketing perspective is to maintain your booth every year at IMTS because people get used to it. I know we've been in this booth I've been with Okuma 17 years now, and I know exactly where we're at. I walk up that hallway, I make the bend, I know where we're going to be at. So I think that's super important. You walk in that East Hall, you know where Mastercam's at. So.
Yeah, well, it's consistency is the building block of trust, and if you can be consistent, I think that's so important. And, just this past year, I think you might have known, we just joined the Sandvik network. And so it was really important to us to make sure that we had a strong showing this year, that we, reminded people that nothing has changed. We are still the same cam company, still focusing on the same technology and still showing up for our resellers, our customers, and our partners as we did before.
So that was going to bring up a question of mine was you've gone through a lot of changes. Your team's gone through some changes this year, and I was questioning what does that look like internally for Mastercam, but more importantly, what does that do for your vision? What's your vision of where you're taking the company over the next couple of years?
Historically, we have been a strong evolutionary company. Okay. We're really good at that continuous improvement, stacking on functionality and improvements year over year on each release. We look at the future and think about all of the innovation that's happening around us, all the connections with partners and networking, and it's hard to keep up with that. And so it was important for us to join a larger network that, had access to resources to understand where the market was going in 5 years and in 10 years, so that in parallel we can develop this evolutionary product, but we're also doing the R&D work that we need to make sure that we're around in 10 years and that we are satisfying our customers' needs and wants for a long time to come.
I think products like Mastercam, what you guys bring to the table, you bring a lot of a cool factor to manufacturing, right? Younger generations, a lot of the programmers, I grew up handwriting programs and punching in macro programs on FANUC controls and OSP controls. And a lot of the younger generation having that Mastercam experience, it attracts a lot of that younger talent into this industry that, they might have went a different route. So I think it's super important, kind of that cool factor that you guys bring to the industry. But I also notice a lot of social media presence, a lot of marketing presence. How important is that for you as a company and a business?
It's intentional. It's very intentional that we are in all of those places and in the educational market. It's critical to make sure that we have customers 5 years from now. We talk a lot about the workforce, gaps that we're seeing and the fact that we don't have enough skilled workers. And we kind of take it upon ourselves to say that we have to be part of that solution. And part of that solution is making manufacturing interesting for that next generation, making it something that people actually want to be part of.
Right.
So we're out there all the time.
So the educational programs that you have, can you walk me through a little bit about what that looks like? Are there programs for high school, tech schools, and on up the path?
Absolutely. So we have an educational suite, a product that the educational market uses. We've got our own internal curriculum, and then we work with other partners that develop curriculum as well. And then our distribution network is, they're on the ground, building relationships with teachers, with just educational institutions to make sure that they understand Mastercam, the importance of it, and providing our support wherever we can. Because it's a very different market, but it's an area that we have always paid attention to. We've always seen the importance of it, and we've always shown up in that area.
Right. I know we've got one of our M560s on your floor up in Connecticut. That's been a great partnership, I think, for both of us. And I know we get a lot of exposure from that on both sides, but also gives you guys a platform to do a lot of testing. And then we benefit from that with work that Chris does on our side in Charlotte. So we thank you for all the work that you guys do with us.
Yeah, well, and thank you guys. I mean, being able to have that machine on the floor, it gives us real-time feedback. We're able to test the product. We're able to use it, to show our customers what we can do with it. And the machine really highlights the impressive work that Mastercam does.
Awesome, Meghan. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.